I wanted to highlight some statements from some people regarding the GeorgeNotFound situation. I wanted to start with the first one that I saw, which was um, streamer Brooke talking about the situation. So let me let it play.
I think what Dream said on his Reddit or whatever is really, really dangerous to say. Um, I think that people expressing that someone did not consent to touching or cuddling because they did not verbally speak it is extremely dishonest. I don't think it is dishonest to ask for verbal consent, especially when drinking, when, like I said, like I said, if a person's drunk, they can't consent, but I just think that that is extremely, extremely dangerous to say, um, and to push that to these young girls who will probably, unfortunately, experience something like this in their life, to make them believe that no, you're not a victim of this. You're not, because yeah, it's like that is so dangerous to say. Um, and this
The person that I was in this sexual experience with at all. I have no negative thoughts on them. I simply did not like how it ended up, and if I could go back and not do it, I wouldn't have. I wanted to do it in the moment, but then changed my mind later, which is completely valid. You're completely allowed to feel that way. But what isn't okay, and I think is just completely unfair, is to act as if I am the bad person in this scenario because you changed your mind later.
To act like I'm the bad person in this scenario because you changed your mind later. Um it that is very also dangerous to say, and as a victim, I have been sexually assaulted, I have been raped, I have been many things. That is disgusting to say, because many victims are told you weren't raped, you weren't sexually assaulted, you just changed your mind. You just regretted it. And that's not true. That's not true at all.
Also, content creators should be held to a higher standard. You should have more responsibility than a bunch of fans. If you are in a position of power, you are the person responsible of that situation or for that situation. And there were two other videos that I really wanted to highlight. First, I wanted to start with Connor's video, which I just want to say, streamer Connor Eats Pants. I think he used to do Minecraft. I don't think he does Minecraft anymore, really. And he just said the most based shit on the planet. And this sort of like, hear me out on this analogy. Just let me cook for just 2 seconds. The situation with GeorgeNotFound is it has the same problem that I feel like the Kyle Rittenhouse case had, where a lot of people, you can defend the ruling of self-defense for Kyle Rittenhouse, and you can be like, okay, in this instance, he was physically attacked and assaulted and whatever. So someone with a gun has the right in that state, the legal right to shoot their gun, and thereby, they have the whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the bigger problem should be to you, why was he there with a gun in the first place? Why was a 17-year-old with a gun defending property in the first place? In the same vein, maybe you think cuddling wasn't that bad. Maybe you think him putting his hand under her shirt and holding her waist wasn't that bad. Okay, maybe that's what you think. Okay, sure. The reality is that why is he inviting fans to his hotel room or Dream's hotel room to drink? Like, why are you there in the first place? Like, we can sit here and, you know, discuss all of the details and be like, well, actually this and actually that and actually this and actually that. And well, he didn't really do anything wrong. And actually, why are you in that position in the first place? And if you're doing it then, how many other times have you done it? And that's basically what Connor says, and I want to let him say it.
Like the way that circle talks about and treats women behind the scenes and even in the scene, I guess, as you can see now as that's become public, it's just disgusting. It's just been gross to me it's just gross. Just gross. It's just gross. Yeah. It's the fact that it's gross, plus the fact that the audience that they've cultivated is like young girls. You have young girls watching you, and then you're going to go in your apology and then say that like, oh, like I thought it was chill, or like, oh, they were 8. Like, you're 27. Like, can we like what the fuck? Like, they're literally just turned 18. Like, what are we even arguing about? What are we even discussing? Like, what nuance are you trying to get at here? And like, it's a pattern, dude. Like, it's a pattern. Like, even if we have the most charitable view of shit, like, dude, why are you in these situations in the first place? Why are you in these situations where people are reaching out and going like, hey, like, come to my hotel room. Oh, you're not being fucking ID. Like, how old? Like, what the fuck? Like, how is, like, it is crazy to me. And again, I hate to say it because I feel complicit in that I didn't say anything earlier, but I'm not surprised, dude. I really am not. I have seen the way that circle has talked about women behind.
And like, that's what I'm trying to drive home as well. I don't follow Minecraft at all. Who is this group he's referring to? I guess let me give a little bit of catch up to anyone who is confused or anyone who doesn't know or hasn't followed the situation. For a bit of context, Minecrafter, YouTuber, and streamer GeorgeNotFound was accused of unwanted sexual touching by someone that goes by what was Bugs. But oh my god, how am I blanking on this? Katie Bugs. Thank you so much. Katie Bugs went on stream and talked about her experience being invited to Dream's hotel room, her and a bunch of other people. It was about 8 people in that room, and they were all incredibly drunk. She was 18 at the time, and streamer GeorgeNotFound was making advances on her and snuggling with her and then grabbing her waist and putting his hand under her shirt. And again, she's 18, drinking in a room with a 26-year-old, in addition to a bunch of other people. And she basically said that, you know, she feels like she felt violated by that incident. And at the time she didn't, like, it didn't process for her. And now 18 is not the drinking age in the US. No, 18 is not the drinking age. 21 is the drinking age in the US. And when will Minecraft not have these kind of issues? The record isn't great. Yeah. What was I saying? Sorry, let me remember really quickly. And so when they talk about this circle, they're referring to DreamSMP, which stands for Survival Minecraft. Survival Multiplayer. Survival Multiplayer. Basically, it's a server where Dream and his friends and other people there play on a server together. That's it. So when people say that circle, they mean Dream and Dream's friends that play on that server. And what she alleged was that they invited her to come up to the hotel room, her and a bunch of other people, and get really drunk. And she felt that there were unwanted advances towards her, and that at the time she went along with it because she didn't know what else to do. Which, again, I'm not surprised because you're 18. You're 18. Like, yeah. And George eventually made a statement sort of downplaying a lot of it and saying like, hey, well, she said that she was having fun at the time and she was smiling and laughing. And like all I did was touch her waist and all this other stuff. And I have to say that I just agree with Connor's statement. Why are you in that situation in the first place? Why are you inviting fans to your hotel to get drunk together? Like what? Like what? 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 If Georgia was 23, would it be okay? I mean, no, it wouldn't be. Why are you accepting invites? Because it's an 18-year-old who is a fan. Do you also tell students, well, why were you letting that person talk to you? Why did you let the teacher talk to you? No, the responsibility is on the person with more power, who is older, who has more life experiences, who should know better. Not the 18-year-old who's going to their first convention and is starstruck because they're hanging out with their favorite creator. And to anyone who's like, well, they were both drunk, how could either of them consent? You are probably the biggest fucking moron on the planet. If you're the one making advances on the other person, it doesn't make sense for other people to say, well, he was also drunk. Yeah, she didn't make advances on him. Hello? If me and you are drunk and we're both wasted and I'm the one touching you, no one should be coming to my defense and saying, well, she was drunk too. That's fucking stupid. That is the dumbest thing on the planet. Are you kidding me? The person that is receiving unwanted touch is the person that can't consent in that situation. Just like if she was the one touching him and it was unwanted, she would be the one at fault. As a dude at a certain age, when you're getting drunk at a function, you should be able to feel yourself and know when you need to go past that before you start getting ready to do something stupid. Yeah, and if you know that you do stupid things when you're drunk, then drink responsibly or have a buddy that keeps you in check. It's not that difficult. By that logic, a drunk person drives their car over another drunk person, no crime committed. Exactly. Why does Connor eat pants? Because he is a cannibal against my people. And he thinks it's funny. He thinks it's funny to kill and eat my people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm officially canceling him. It's true. So anyways, when I was 16, I wasn't hitting on teenagers. And then there's a lot of people that come to his defense and say, well, he didn't know she was 18. How was he supposed to know that she was 18? Hey, guess what? That's your responsibility as the adult in that situation, as the person with power. Why are you allowing people to enter your hotel room without checking their IDs first? If you ID someone and they feel uncomfortable, like, I can't believe you're asking me for my ID. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be safe. If that made you uncomfortable, you can leave. But I'm not letting anyone into my hotel room until I see their ID. I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. I really am. But this is just, I have to do this. Just to make sure that, no one is here that shouldn't be here. I didn't know is not an excuse. The true story is he didn't care. If the Island Boys can be IDing women that come to drink on their stream, you can ID people. Especially because she looks so young. Yeah. It's not, even if it's not for moral reasons, where's the self-preservation? That's what I'm saying as well. It's like there's a lot of details to the case that make it, that aren't immediately relevant, but they just make the case worse. even if you remove all of the extra details, all of it. The Hassan clip where he asks his friend what her age is and she jokes it's 16 and he gets up and leaves. Yeah, it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. When I worked at a casino, there was a 30-year-old lady that ended up getting ID'd 6 times. Yeah, and it's because you have to be the responsible person in that situation. But here's the thing. Even if you remove all of the details in this instance or in this case, at the end of the day, you are touching someone that is drunk, and drunk people can't consent. It's that simple. They could have been the same age. They could have been friends. They could have both been content creators. At the end of the day, drunk people cannot consent, and you should not be touching drunk people. It's really not difficult. The fact that he was 26 and she was 18 makes it worse. The fact that she was a fan and he's a large content creator makes it worse. The fact that they were in a space that was more his space and it was less her space, so she didn't feel nearly as comfortable or safe as he would have felt, makes it worse. All of the details of the case make it worse, but in the end, the meat of the problem is that she's drunk. She can't consent to being touched. And so you shouldn't be touching someone that can't consent to that. The fact that he didn't know how old she was makes it worse. She could have been underage if that's the case. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, it's your responsibility as the content creator with all of the power there to ID people. And it doesn't feel good to be ID'd. Nobody wants to show their ID, of course. Every time you get ID'd, it feels bad. It's like, are you serious? You don't believe me when I say what my age is? It's like, I'm sorry, I just need to be sure. At the very least, I have to try the bare minimum, just the bare minimum, and just see your ID. At the very least, just even ask how old they are. He didn't even do that. He didn't even ask the age. You better believe if I am hanging out with anyone and I am inviting people that I don't know, you better believe I am IDing them. If there are people in my space, in my hotel or in my home or whatever, and I don't know them and they look really young, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just need to see your ID. I'm sorry. I just need to make sure that there aren't underage people drinking here. I'm sorry, you're 18. I'll call you an Uber back to your place. You can't be here. I'm doing this for you, really. I'm not trying to be mean. It's not you or anything. It's that this is the responsible thing to do. And you'll understand when you're older why I've done this. But I feel uncomfortable with you being here at that age. So tell me what your address is or whatever, or where your hotel is. I'm going to call you an Uber. You can get home safe. And yeah. I don't want that to be on my conscience. Look at Destiny's take on this. Oh, I saw. It's just... Did we expect anything different? I would also say that the age is a small part of a much bigger issue in this scenario. Yeah. Of course. And so I just want to say, if you see this, Connor, you probably won't, but if you do see this, Connor, I have nothing but respect for you for saying this and coming out publicly and calling that shit out, because unfortunately, your voice holds more weight because you are a man in the space, and it shouldn't be that way, but your voice does hold more weight. And so I do respect and appreciate that you came out and called out the explicitly shitty parts of this, which is that why are you inviting young girls to get drunk in your hotel or your friend's hotel? Why is that happening in the first place? Why are you not hanging out with like your peers going and doing fun stuff with like your coworkers. Because that's what everybody else does. That's what all the normal people do. All the normal people that go to events, they just hang out with their fellow peers, their fellow 25, 26-year-olds that are also content creators that have platforms. So yeah, respect for you coming out and saying all of this stuff. I just want to let some of it replay.
And like, it's a pattern, dude. Like, it's a pattern. Like, even if we have the most charitable view of shit, like, dude, why are you in these situations in the first place? Why are you in these situations where people are reaching out and going like, hey, like, come to my hotel room. Oh, you're not being fucking ID. Like,
because here's the thing. I believe George when he says that he thought she was having a good time. I don't think George is a fucking rapist. I don't think that he would push himself onto someone who is telling him no and is like physically pushing him off. I'm not going to make that claim. I'm not going to say something like that. I'm going to good faith him, and I'm going to say that I believe him when he says he thought she was having fun. I'm just gonna, because I think it is the right thing to do to just give him the benefit of the doubt on that. Because the problem is, even if that was the case, it doesn't change any of the important facts. The important facts are you are inviting drunk girls to your hotel room and you're not even fucking IDing them.
how old? Like, what the fuck? Like, how is, like, it is crazy to me. And again, I hate to say it because I feel complicit in that I didn't say anything earlier, but I'm not surprised, dude. I really am not. I have seen the way that circle has talked about women behind the scenes, what they've done to girls and behind the scenes, which are not my stories to share. And it is frustrating, dude. It is fucking frustrating. You know, you can't really, I beat myself up for not saying shit earlier, but I feel like I owe it to my audience and the people that watch me to know that, like, I don't stand by that shit. I don't support that. But like, dude, again, it was never my place to say shit, but also, like, if I did, if I even hinted at shit.
It really does suck to be in Connor's position where you know bad shit that has happened, but the victim has explicitly told you that they don't want to speak out on something publicly and that they don't feel comfortable speaking out on something publicly because you view that person differently and you're like, I know you're a fucking piece of shit. But unfortunately, I do not have the victim's consent, and it would be worse for me to do this to them. And it is a shitty position to fucking be in. So please do not listen to anyone, Connor, that tells you that, oh yeah, you're just fake, you're just doing the blah, blah, whatever. You should have said, no. The only thing you can really do is support, yeah. How old is the victim? 18.
Shit, I got fucking dragged for it, dude. I had fucking thousands of stands being like, oh, what the fuck do you, keep their name in here, shit like that. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck do you even do? What the fuck do you even say? That's part of the fucking strategy, isn't it? That's part of it. It's like, I'm going to cultivate an audience of fucking crazy, like.
And if you do know that someone is abusing their power and hurting people because they hold this power, the best thing you can do, unfortunately, is just wait until they feel comfortable speaking out on something and support them when they do. Use your platform to support them when they feel comfortable and brave enough to speak out.
Well, crazy, that sounds wrong. But of like hyper fixated young girls to then defend me and shit. It's crazy. It's.
Yeah. Yeah, just. This really tells you everything you need to know. That clip tells you everything you need to know. And sort of like jumping off of that point, you have to understand a lot of victims don't come out and speak on what they on their experiences because they don't want to be known as the person who got assaulted. And I want to move towards like this Tina clip that I think really explains it well. And it says a lot of people might think people do this for attention, but it really closes more doors than it typically opens. All I ask is that you don't make it their whole identity and you love them as them. They're more than just a victim. Oh, Tina, you're so big on my screen.
Thank you for being a safe space for us girls. We love you so much and I'm so proud of you.
is that like a lot of girls, when they come forward about stuff like this, they become like that girl that spoke up or said anything. It
Sending all
closes
the love,
doors for them.
Pinaki, that foolish shark heart.
Ellie, thank you. It closes doors for them. I know, like, a lot of people might think that people do this for, like, attention, but it closes more doors than it opens, typically. So it's a really hard thing to do. So all I ask is that you just don't make that their identity. And, you love them as them. And that they're more than just, like, a victim, you know? So, yeah, it's like, you know, some
Like, I know content creators who have been made to feel uncomfortable, who have received unwanted touching from men with power in the content space, and they have chosen to not speak out only because they want to have a career and they don't want to be known as, oh, X? That's the person who got assaulted, right? And unfortunately, that's just what happens every time you speak out. You just become known as, like, anytime someone's like, I don't know who that is, you tag along the person who got assaulted. And it's like, oh, I know that person. And nobody wants to be known that way. Nobody wants that.
something that isn't talked about, but I think, like, it's not talked about as much. So I think if it's, like, the one thing that I could say that would, like, maybe make their lives a little bit better, remember them as more than that, you know, and, like, lots of love and support. Be good to them. That is all.
Yeah. The victims get put in the spotlight, extra hard to shame them. Once it's over, they essentially go back into obscurity. I can't name one of the Bill Cosby victims, but I'm grateful that they exposed him. Yeah, no one is getting book deals and shit from doing this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I spoke about my assault to my school when I was in school, and I became known as the guy who was assaulted. It's the same way in local spaces as well. Yeah, and I would even say that it's obviously this is not fucking oppression Olympics or anything like that, but I would say that this is even more so a problem with male victims. That it happens to everyone. And anyone who speaks out about this stuff, you know, has it follow them forever. But it's definitely, I would say, worse for male victims in this regard. And I do think it's important to point that out, intersectionality and all of that. Because of, like, yeah, ideas like man up and all that other bullshit. And as usual, all of my advice, and not advice, all of my commentary applies to both men and women. And men definitely do get, like, the worst social repercussions for speaking out on assault than women do. And I have a lot of respect for men who do speak out on that stuff, because it's as hard as it is to speak out as a victim, I would say society has made it like 10 times harder for men to speak out being victims. And I think it's important to recognize we live in a society and we have a culture that dictates men are supposed to be a certain way, and that the victim shaming is so terrible for men. And that they're like, women aren't believed because people think that the women are lying. Men aren't believed because they think No, you had fun. You're a man. And yeah, Terry Crews got assaulted, didn't say anything because he knew he would get ousted from Hollywood. Yeah, the social repercussion is really bad. Social repercussions come from other men, though, right? I mean, it also comes from women. There's also women who are shitty people who judge men for being assaulted, as if that's something you choose to do in your life. Brendan Fraser had a tough time. Yeah. And again, this is not me saying that there are any victims that are worse victims or better victims or anything like that, and that like men have it harder and women have it harder and or any of that shit. I'm just saying it is important to know that, and it is important to recognize that in this regard, men get even they even draw the shorter stick on this, trying to speak out on assault. It's the same women who hate bi men. Yeah, I fucking hate those women. What situation are we talking about? We're talking about the GeorgeNotFound situation. I broke down for the first time in 14 years. I worked blue collar job. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of men get assaulted by other men and they get gay. Get called gay if they speak out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All victims have it hard. It just manifests differently. Yes. And I think it's important to understand the different ways that it manifests, because if we understand how it manifests, we can better accommodate for when it happens like that. No, thank you. Thank you for being here, Taiki. Certain insane people will take the fact that you're a victim and weaponize it to say groomers and pedos were victims once and create a fear about male victims. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even, you're totally right, actually. You're 100% correct. This is not something that applies to women at all. Generally, when women are assaulted and they speak out on assault, they never have this levied at them, ever. It is never the case that women get told, oh, well, you were assaulted. Well, this means you're going to assault someone else. But when men get assaulted, and it is such a fucked up thing to do, to tell someone who was brave enough to speak out and say that they were assaulted, to then tell them, oh, well, I bet you're going to become a rapist yourself now. Like, what a fucked up thing to say to someone after, like, they open up and act as vulnerable as they can. And that's how you repay them. So intersectionality is important. Recognizing the different ways that it manifests is important. Recognizing the different ways that victim blaming manifests is important. And anyone who's had to deal with that, I'm very sorry that you've had to deal with that. And just know that there are people who believe you and that there are people who do not judge you, because it is not something that makes sense to judge you for. It's something that is out of your control, and it is something that happens to some people, and it is what it is. And that maybe there are shitty people out there that won't believe you, and maybe there are shitty people out there that do not experience compassion and empathy. But there also are lots of people. Oh, Mumblecat, hi. I'm going to the walk-in. Time to go to the walk-in freezer and cry. Yeah. I also saw, but yeah, all of that is to say, like, we should talk about and we should think about the fact that victims become known as only their experience and their experience with victimhood. And a lot of people have spoken out about this stuff and said, yeah, I was assaulted. Here's my story. And then from that point on, their career dies. And then they are only known as the person who was assaulted. And it's really sad that that happens, and it shouldn't be that way. The police didn't even believe one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims because they said, quote, it was a domestic squabble between two homosexuals. Fucking stupid. At 16, I was with a woman in her 20s for a while, and nobody batted an eye because a younger guy and older woman. And that's just fucking gross. That, like, it's gross that nobody gave a fuck. I must admit, if it happened to me, I don't think I would have the guts to go to anyone about it. People speaking up have far more courage than I have. I have to respect that as a minimum. Yeah, I have to say, know that if anything happens, or will happen or whatever to me, know that the only reason I speak out on it is because I don't want to see a predator continue to use their platform to abuse other people. And that is the only reason I would ever speak out on something like that, because it makes me uncomfortable knowing that I have the power to say something and to prevent harm. But you guys, I'm very lucky and I feel very blessed that I have like such a cool community and so many understanding people. And yeah, I feel very lucky in that regard. And not everyone is in that case. And a lot of people, they build like gaming communities and cozy communities. And once they become known as the person who blah, 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 they lose a lot of their audience because the stream becomes too dark for them or whatever. And so I really do appreciate that. I feel comfortable, that I feel like I could speak out. I'm very lucky that nothing has ever happened to me that has been traumatic of anyone abusing their power over me. But yeah. And on that topic, or not on that topic, but sort of wrapping up on that topic, I also have respect for Karl Jacob. He spoke out on Discord, I think, talking to his community and saying it was the only content they ever made. When they did make content, it was either Sapnap announcing some stupid shit or George going on a podcast and being like, maybe if she wasn't so drunk. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to carry these careers for no reason. It was fun till I couldn't ever get to finish my series I spent 2 years on because the owner was too busy prepping vlogs for when he face reveals. And someone says, does Sapnap and George hate you because you don't like Dream? Be honest. They're definitely upset I quit banter, to be fair, but no, they don't hate me. And yeah, just basically saying, yeah, they're weird, shitty people. And there's a reason I stopped associating with them. At the end of the day, what matters is like how the victim feels. And if they feel that they were touched unwanted, then they were touched unwanted. That's all that matters. And if you are not getting enthusiastic consent, how can you be sure that that person is engaging in things that they want to engage in?